Yeah, welcome once again to my channel. Today we are come to talk about introduction to biochemistry. Okay, so basically when we are talking about biochemistry, it's a study of what chemical reactions or processes that occurs in what in the cells of living organisms. And so here there are a lot of reactions that occur in the what in the cells of living organisms. But here we are emphasizing on what the chemical reactions that occurs in what living organisms within their cells. Okay, so that's basically what the definition of biochemistry. Then in cells reaction occur within molecules. Okay, as I'm saying, the cells contain some molecules, and it is in these molecules that reaction occur. Okay, so examples of these, and these molecules are basically called what biomolecules. Okay, so there are four main biomolecules, which is the carbohydrate, the protein, the lipids, and nucleic acid. Okay, so note that when what biomolecules react with each other, energy is either gained or released, okay, which normally results in anabolic or catabolic. So the moment biomolecules react is either there is a gain or there is a release of energy. And this gain or release of energy results in a process called catabolism or anabolism, or catabolic and anabolic reactions. Okay, so here let's talk about the reactions or the relationships that occurs in biochemistry. So there are three basic requirements for life to develop. Okay, strive and reproduce. And these three requirements are what energy, materials into brackets, metabolism, and structure. The structure is actually the information that what the cells convey in order for the organism to develop. Okay, so here let's talk about what biomolecules. Here we're talking about biomolecules. Okay, so the nature of an organism is defined by what its content of what its biomolecules. So per the dominancy of the biomolecule, it is in which what the organism is what the organism is being identified or defined. Okay, let's say a virus, for instance. A virus is mostly dominant with protein, therefore they are called protein structures. Okay, so based on the content of the biomolecule, we define an organism, okay, or the nature of the organism. For instance, as you are saying that viruses, plasmodium, and all those stuff, they are made of what protein, or they are protein structured organisms. This doesn't mean that they don't contain any other what biomolecules, just that what these proteins are dominant and making them more what and if they are dominant, they overshadow the other biomolecules. Okay, so here they are saying that there are four main biomolecules. There are four main biomolecules, and they are numeric units. So these biomolecules have what monomeric units. Okay, these monomeric units are actually the build-ups of what these biomolecules. Okay, for instance, they form the basis of the molecule. So here, configuration and conformation mainly determines what the usage or the importance of these what biomolecules. But what do you understand by configuration and conformation? They are actually used interchangeably, but there are mainly difference between them. When we are talking about configuration, the configuration refers to the spatial or distance arrangement. When we are talking about spatial, something like a space, arrangement in space. Okay, so configuration refers to the spatial or distant arrangement of atoms in a molecule. And this molecule that I'm referring to is what the biomolecule, which can be carbohydrate, it can be protein, it can be lipid, or it can be nucleic acid. Okay, and that can only be what they can only be changed by breaking the bonds in the molecule. This means that they are not interchangeable. The atoms they are rigid. Okay, they are not interchangeable. Likewise for conformation. For configuration is the arrangement of the atoms in space. But for this time around, in order to change anything, in order to change the arrangement of the atom, the bonds that is what holding these atoms in the molecule should be broken first. Okay. And when we are talking about conformation, it's actually what the same definition, but here the molecules or the atoms within the molecule can be what readily interconverted, or it can be changed into another without breaking any bond. Okay, we can interchange the position without breaking the bond. So conformation refers to the spatial arrangement of atoms in a molecule which are readily what interconverted, or change into another without breaking the bond. Okay, so these are the basic things that you should know for what configuration and conformation. Now, as we are moving to metabolism, when we are talking about metabolism is actually what a chemical reaction, and it always occurs within the body cells. Okay, and always know that at the end of metabolism, food is what always converted into energy. Okay, food is converted into energy. So the end product of metabolism, or let's say the product after which metabolism process, the product after which what, or the product which is produced after metabolism processes is called metabolites. Okay, so when you're talking about metabolites, they are actually what the end products that are being produced after metabolism reaction. Okay, so the and as I said earlier, structures are the information that what the body needs in order to produce an energy. Okay, like the three basic requirements of life. As I said, energy, material, and what? Energy, material, and structure. Structure are the informations that the body needs in order to what? Produce an energy. So when I'm talking about metabolism is made up of actually two parts. You see that what? Anabolism and catabolism. So metabolism mathematically can be expressed as what? Anabolism plus catabolism. And as I said earlier, the anabolism results in what? The build-up or into like a synthesis. When you are saying something is synthesized, we are actually combining two things to form a larger thing. While the catabolism involves what? To breakdown of what? A molecule. And if you are breaking down something, you're actually decomposing it. Okay, so example of anabolic process or example of anabolic reaction, as you can see, as I said earlier, that you are combining two smaller molecules. Let's say glucose, for instance. When you combine what? Glucose. Let's say there are two atoms of glucose or there are two molecules of glucose. These glucose are what? Monomers. They are smaller molecules, but the moment you combine them for a bond to form between them, they form a polymer. So when you are talking about monomers are actually smaller particles that actually combine to form what? A larger molecule, which is called polymer. Okay, so the polymer is a larger particle. But here they are saying that what? Since the anabolic reaction require energy for its propagation, it is termed as what? Endergonic. Okay, so when you're talking about endergonic reaction or endergonic process, they are actually what? They are actually the processes that require what? Energy. For instance, if you refer your knowledge back to chemistry, we are having exothermic and endothermic. So the endergonic is actually similar to what? The endothermic process. Okay, they actually require energy in order to what? To procure its what? Propagation. Okay, so now let's move on to the other part of it, which is the catabolism. But before that, let us know something here. They are saying that what? The energy that the cell require for anabolic process is called ATP. Okay, so as you are saying that anabolic processes require energy for its propagation, the specific energy that is required is what? ATP. And the full meaning of ATP is adenosine triphosphate. Okay, so that's the energy that what the cells require in order to what? Undergo anabolic processes. So let's move on to catabolic process. Let's say this catabolic process, as I said earlier, is mainly the reverse of what? Anabolic. Okay, instead of you building up or synthesizing something, here you are decomposing it. So let's say we are having what? A sucrose. Let's say we are having a sucrose. A sucrose is a disaccharide, which is a polymer. Okay, combination of two saccharides or two monosaccharides, it will give you a disaccharide. So here, sucrose is mainly composed of what? Glucose and what? Fructose. And as we all know, sucrose, we've heard about sucrose many times in our life. Sucrose is more unlike a sugar. Okay, and for that matter, it is what? It is soluble in water. So let's say we dissolve this polymer, which is the sucrose, or this disaccharide in what? In water. It will actually what? Decompose to release its monomers, and this monomers is what? The glucose atom and the what? And the fructose atom plus energy. Because as we said earlier, catabolism results in the release of energy. So it will be the glucose plus the fructose plus energy. So from the polymer, it is decomposing to give you what? The monomers. Catabolic reactions are usually what? Hydrolysis what? Reaction, because it decomposes the what? The polymer. As I'm saying, it has decomposed it, and using water as a solvent to dissolve the sucrose is termed as hydrolysis. If you turn our knowledge back to chemistry, hydrolysis is actually the interaction Hydrolysis is not a reaction. Just keep it in mind. Hydrolysis is an interaction of water and what? And maybe ions. Okay, or water and a molecule in order to release its ions. It's not actually a reaction. Okay, so yeah, here they are saying that catabolic reaction are mainly what? Hexagonic. When you are saying hexagonic, you can just relate it to what? To exothermic processes. Okay, because they releases energy. But note, photosynthesis. Okay, photosynthesis is the reverse of what? Cellular respiration. Keep it in mind. If you are synthesizing something in order to produce another thing, let's see. So here, if you are saying that photosynthesis is the what? Is the reverse of cellular reaction or cellular respiration, and we know that what photosynthesis is what? Is an anabolic process, then automatically cellular respiration is what? Cellular respiration is what? A catabolic process. Okay, another example is the glycolysis. Okay, glycolysis or glycolysis. When you're talking about this thing, when you're talking about this process, even as you hear that what? SIS. The moment you hear the SIS, actually what? The breakdown of something. We are breaking down what? Larger what? Glucose molecules, okay, into smaller what? Pyruvine molecules. That's actually the definition of what? Glycolysis. Okay, for this one we are breaking down what? Larger what? Glucose molecule. And as we are breaking down this larger glucose molecule, it actually results in the production of smaller molecules, and these molecules are what? Called pyruvine. Okay, so this reaction is what? A catabolic, since energy is released as well. As far as we are breaking the bonds, energy will be what? Will be released. Okay, all right, so let's try some examples of what? Catabolic what? Processes. Examples of catabolic processes here, we are having what? Cellular respiration, we are having what? Glycolysis, we are having when you are converting nucleic acid into its nucleotide. Okay, so for nucleic acid, its monomeric units are what? Nucleotides. Okay, so when we are decomposing the nucleic acid, it will actually result in the what? In the formation of what? Its monomeric unit, which is the nucleotide, and for that matter, energy will be released, hence it is considered as what? A catabolic process. Okay, okay, let's consider this one. So breaking down of fats in adipose tissue. Okay, when I'm talking about adipose tissue, they actually contain fats or lipids. So when you are breaking down what? These fats, okay, when you are breaking down these fats in this adipose tissue, they actually result in the production of what? Fatty acid or glycerol. Okay, the monomeric unit of what? The monomeric unit of lipid are actually what? Fatty acids or glycerol. Okay, and the IUPAC name for glycerol, as we all know, is propan 1,2-triol, 1,2,3-triol. Okay, so that's the IUPAC name for glycerol. Then here, let's talk about what? An examples of what? Anabolic processes. So anabolic processes, as I stated earlier, is actually what? Synthesizing something. You are combining two monomers in order to form what? A polymer or a larger molecule. So example is the photosynthesis. For photosynthesis, we're actually combining two things to form another thing. Okay. Also, when you are converting amino acid into protein, amino acids are the basic what? Or the monomeric unit of protein. So when you are combining this thing, or when you are creating peptide bond between these amino acids, okay, it actually forms a larger molecule called protein. Okay, and also bone development and what? Mineralization. When you're talking about bone development actually involve what? The deposition of minerals. When there's a deposition of minerals in the human body, okay, it actually forms what? A larger molecule, okay, which is referred to as the bone that we all see in our body. It's actually what? It actually rises from something. The formation of bone rises from something, which is called what? And this reaction in which the bone is developed is what's called anabolic processes. Okay. Then when you are talking about monomers of what? The basic biomolecules. So let's talk about the monomers. The monomers are actually the monomeric units, or maybe the basics of what? These basic biomolecules. Okay, the basis. When I'm talking about the basis, maybe the units which composes what? The biomolecules that you all know, the 4 biomolecules. So let's talk about carbohydrates. When we are talking about carbohydrate is what? A monosaccharide. Carbohydrate, the monomer of what? Carbohydrate is what? It's mainly what? Monosaccharide. Okay, so monosaccharide is their monomer with a basic formula of what? CH2O subscript N. Okay, so based on the N, that will determine the what? the type of what? The type of carbohydrates. Let's talk about protein too. As I said earlier, protein, the monomer of protein is what? Amino acid. And this amino acid be combined together through peptide bonds forms what? A protein. Okay. So this is an organic compound. The amino acid is an organic compound, okay, which contain the amino. Okay. This organic compound, let's say amino acid. The amino acid, for instance, is a monomer, and this monomer contains what? An amino group and a what? And a carboxylate group. This amino group is actually what? Na3 plus. Okay, and this carboxylate group is what? The CO2 minus. Okay, so the amino acid actually contains what? These two functional groups. When we are talking about lipids, for instance, for lipids there are two main what? Monomers, as I said, and these two monomers include what? Glycerol and what? Fatty acids. So that's actually the main monomers of what? Lipids. For here, lipids has what? Two main monomers. It either contains glycerol or what? Fatty acid. Okay. Then when we are talking about the nucleic acids, nucleic acids are actually what? They are actually the basic. They are usually found in the what? In the nucleus of the cells of living organisms. Let's say animals, for instance. There are nucleic acids that are contained in the what? In the nucleus. Okay, and specifically in the nucleus, it is contained in the nucleus. Okay, so nucleic acid may be grouped as what? DNA or RNA. Okay, so there are two types of nucleic acid. It can either be what? DNA, and the DNA, the full meaning of the DNA is what? Deoxyribonucleic what? Acid, and or is it that what? RNA. The full meaning of the RNA is what? It's mainly ribonucleic what? Acid. So the nucleotides are actually the main monomers of what? Nucleic acid. As I mentioned earlier, if you take a nucleic acid, for instance, and you decompose it, the moment you decompose it, you are actually what? You are actually transforming it into 8 monomeric units, and this monomeric unit that you are going to find is what? The nucleotides. Okay, and these nucleotides are made up of 5 main groups, which with the guanine and all those stuff. Okay, so if you know that this video have been actually relevant to you, don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed, and like my video as well. Thank you, and see you in other lectures as well.